Alrighty, so we are back on video number 4 of the series. We're talking about software layouts and charting, and we're going to jump right into this. I believe that there's really only four pieces of software that you really need, or four sort of sources that you need for this. And this is going to be news sources and a market overview. And then you'll need your broker and a place to place your trades and your orders. You'll need charting, and you'll need data collection. I believe that the most holistic approach to news and a market overview is going to be Yahoo Finance. They have a market overview for world indices, they have assets, they have a sector breakdown, they have trending stocks for most active, top gainer, 52-week gainers, etc. And then Yahoo Finance, the real bread and butter. This is going to come from their news. They have economic news and leading stock news, and then they have the ability for you to search up individual tickers and see press releases and news articles related to that ticker. So if you see some huge drastic gap in price, and it's not like on earnings or something, this is going to be the first place that you're going to want to check for that to see if some CEO just sold shares or somebody bought shares or if a new press release just came out, etc. Yahoo Finance also has a very comprehensive fundamentals view. So if you wanted to look more at the specifics of fundamentals, this is going to be really the place that you're going to want to look at to research a stock, and this is where you're going to spend a decent amount of time if you're really looking at sort of the general market news and headlines. As far as brokers go, a broker is just a middleman who connects buyers and sellers of a stock, bond, or just any financial asset. So trades and orders are executed through these brokers. Typically, brokers will have a software that you can manage your positions in, and you place your trades, and then they have some charting tools for stuff like that. Brokers are going to vary in terms of the fees, execution time, order types, charting tools, and market data. So every broker is going to be a little bit different, but generally speaking, they're all going to do just about the same thing. As far as brokers go, I think that the best sort of overall approach to a broker is going to be Thinkorswim by Charles Schwab. They are on desktop, mobile, and web. They have advanced charting and paper trading. Paper trading is just when you trade with not real money to test executions and your strategy, etc. They have all order types and no trade fees on stock. They have free market data for level 1 and level 2. And they have custom scripting. And you'll see why custom scripting is so important to me here in just a second, but custom scripting is a really big thing for this, and I think that that's a really important feature if you were going to try and really delve into the customization of this. Active Trader Pro by Fidelity is what I use. I think it's sort of the worst option on this list, unfortunately. They're on desktop only for the actual Active Trader Pro app, but they have a Fidelity mobile app that you can place your trades on and a Fidelity web app that you can do the same stuff on. So it's sort of a give or take there for the desktop only. They have really basic charting and no paper trading. And by basic, I mean like super basic. Like I couldn't do any of my charting on there, and that's sort of why I use a separate software for that. They have all order types and no trade fees on stock. They have free market data for level 1 and level 2, and they have no custom scripting whatsoever. Webull Desktop by Webull is going to be sort of the second best option to Thinkorswim. It's sort of a newer option, and they are on desktop, mobile, and web. They have advanced charting and paper trading. They have all order types, no trade fees. They have free market data, and then the only thing that they're really lacking is going to be their no custom scripting. But if you're going to be charting on a different platform, it really doesn't matter whatsoever, and Webull is going to be a very solid option for that. Trader Workstation by Interactive Brokers is sort of a weird one. This is going to be a really, really professional tool that most people are just not going to need, but I think it's interesting. They are for desktop, mobile, and web. They have very advanced charting and paper trading, and then they have all order types and then some trade fees depending on the lot size. So if you were trading with like a ton of size, you could run into some your like share fees, but generally speaking, I don't think most people are going to have any issue with this. They have paid market data for level 1 and level 2, and then they have custom scripting and API plugins, which means that the reason you pay such a premium for the market data is because you can use it in whichever way you want. If you wanted to write a API plugin that makes you custom indicators, custom scanners, custom really anything, you can really do that in Interactive Brokers, and it's going to be one of the only brokers that you can do that on. So I think that it's a really powerful tool, but it's also just such a professional and sort of like overblown tool that you don't need it to trade, and it's going to be very expensive for the average person. Charting, I use Tradingview. This is what my layout's going to look like day to day. If you're new to Tradingview, here's a very, very brief rundown of it. So the top is going to have the time frame. The left side is going to have the chart tools, the bottom is the date range, and the right is the watch list. Tradingview is on desktop, mobile, and web. They have free and paid plans. For the longest time, I did use the free plans, and I sort of had to bend the program to how I wanted to use it. So this is where my custom indicator comes into play here. And then right now, I'm currently using the paid plan. I believe I got in really, really cheap on a 4th of July sale, which really helped for that. I believe that the free plans only lock you to 3 indicators and no second chart. So when you see like this stacked layout up in here, this is from the TradingView paid plan, and I think it's sort of a necessity, but it's definitely something that you could work around. If you were on the web version, you could just pull up 2 web windows and have them like over each other to basically mimic it. But yeah, it's sort of a pain in the ass compared to just paying the small extra dollar for the actual stacked layouts, which can be really helpful. They have free market data, but it can be potentially slow. They use a different exchange, which means that if the stock that you're watching has really, really low liquidity or just sort of really low activity in it, it can be sort of slow in terms of price updates, but it's not something that I've ever had any issues with, and you can pay for separate market data if it's something that you really need. They have decent scanning tools. I do all of my scanning in TradingView natively, so I think that that's something that's like it's not really ever been an issue for me, and I think it's pretty solid. They have amazing custom scripting. We're gonna go over my whole custom indicator, but I've been able to do anything that I've wanted with indicators. I've really, really played around with the custom indicators. And then they have broker integration, which means that if I went to this trading panel down here at the bottom, I could place all of my trades and orders on TradingView, like on the charts in TradingView. I wouldn't need to go to a separate broker and fill out a trading ticket or anything like that. You could just log in with your broker and place everything through TradingView, which I think is a really cool feature. As far as swing trading charting goes, TC2000 is probably going to be the second most popular option for this. This is a tool that I've used. It costs a lot more money than TradingView, but it can be really helpful. There's just a couple things that sort of make it a no-go for me, and that main one is going to be that it's desktop only. There's no type of mobile app for this. You can't do anything mobile. Which means that if I wanted to check positions or just pull up a chart intraday, I really can't do that unless I'm at a computer. So unless trading's like your full-time job and you're ready to just like be at your computer all day, TZ2000 just really doesn't work for that for me. They have paid plans and paid market data. It's not super expensive, but it's really, really fast. So this can be really helpful if you need something that really updates super quick, or if you were like going to be scalping, sort of. This is going to be a good tool for that. They have amazing scanning tools, which is sort of the crux of this tool, I believe. It's sort of why so many swing traders use it, because you can really get into the weeds on your custom scanners and everything like that. I think that that's sort of the main appeal for that. Excuse me. They have very basic custom scripting, so you could make a couple custom indicators if you wanted. And you can, I know that you can make your own like data tables and stuff like that, but generally speaking, I think that it's a little bit lackluster compared to TradingView's like Pine integration. So I think that it could be better, but it's also very, very powerful in that regard. They have no broker integration or in-app trades, I believe, and I could be completely wrong about that. I just didn't see anything about that specifically. So as far as my TradingView layout goes, I use two main layouts. I have one layout for the daily, the weekly, the monthly chart. This is going to be those longer term time frames. And then I have another layout for the 5-minute, 30-minute, and 1 hour chart, so the intraday charts. And these are going to vary in terms of indicators and sort of where everything is laid out. And we're going to go over that specifically. So as far as chart indicators go, the moving averages that I use on the daily chart are going to be the 10 EMA, the 21 EMA, the 50 SMA, and the 200 SMA. And then on the daily chart, I also use a relative strength line. So this is just going to plot a stock's relative strength compared to, I have it indexed to SPY. So when you see these blue dots, these are going to represent 52-week highs. And if you ever see red dots, that's going to be 52-week lows. I will never really be trading stocks at 52-week lows though. And then as for intraday, I use the intraday 6 EMA and the intraday 21 EMA. And then I use the daily 10 EMA and the daily 21 EMA and the daily 50 SMA. So what that means is that the price levels from the daily chart are plotted as straight lines on the intraday chart. So this can really help you identify sort of if you see a stock that really likes to bounce off of its 10-day moving average and you're watching it intraday, you can really see when that happens. So that can be really helpful for that. And that's sort of a part of the custom indicator. For intraday, I also use the moving average convergence divergence indicator, or the MACD. This is just going to show the crossover of two moving averages. I use the, that should say 6 EMA, but I use the 6 EMA and the 21 EMA. So this just sort of helps use to identify when price is changing its character to the upside or the downside, or when a move is becoming extended or overextended. So this can be helpful for that, but it's not a necessity, you know what I mean? And then for all charts, I use volume and earnings. It's super basic, but it's also like the most important thing for that. You need it to understand weight of candles in the context of sharp movement. So to get a little bit more into the relative strength line and just sort of understand what that means, relative strength in general, as a general concept, is just when the general market is in a downtrend or trading sideways, and a individual stock is trading upward or making like is moving inversely to the rest of the market. So an example of this would be like on this day here. We can see that SPY gaps down and it's right onto its 21-day EMA and its 200-day SMA. So, but during the same time, LEU is gapping up and it's nowhere close to these moving averages here. And then during this time frame, LEU sort of is setting these 52-week highs along this whole range, and SPY is just sort of grinding along sideways between these two moving averages, the 10 EMA and the 21 EMA. And then during this time frame, SPY made a just under a 3% move, and LEU made just under a 64% move. So the relative strength line is just sort of helping to identify and put yourself in front of the stocks that are going to be moving the strongest and have the strongest moves for that upside potential. So as far as the custom indicator that I use goes, the bulk and the vast majority of this indicator is made by this creator, JFSREV. I can't even fathom how hard this indicator was to make, and I know that a couple people collaborated on this, so full credit goes to him for that. I just added a couple things onto here, and I don't really use the full extent of this indicator, but it's incredibly comprehensive, and you could really use it for a lot of things. So the custom indicator that I use adds these items to the chart. So that's going to be this data table up here, and this is entirely customizable. It adds the daily moving average lines, and then it adds a risk calculator, and then it adds all of the moving averages. So if you were to open this on your own chart and then go to the settings, this is what you'd see. This data table, I keep it very, very simple up here. I just have the average daily range, volume, sector, and then the sector ETF. But you could add all of these items in here, which is really cool. And then the stuff that I added the risk calculator, like I said, and then all of the lines in here, and a couple other things here and there, just for like ease of access. But the risk calculator, the way that this is going to work is we're going to get more into risk management later into the series. But so if I wanted to risk only $50 per trade, and I really only ever set my stop loss to the low of the day that I'm buying the stock on. So if I was looking at this and I thought that this was a good time to buy up here, this indicator down here at the bottom is going to tell me the maximum number of shares I can buy and the value of those shares if my stop loss was going to go at the low of day. And that's how I'm going to base my position sizing on. And I'm going to be trying to get as close to whatever position size I want to hold of a stock. But this is really going to help in terms of I don't have to calculate my risk on each trade, and I don't have to calculate my position size for anything. This does it all for me, and I can really go on the fly for it. So that's really, really helpful for a quick moving example of that. And then my Active Trader Pro layout, I keep everything really, really squished into a small panel, and you'll see why for that here in just a second. But the top left is going to be my main order ticket. The second order ticket is underneath, and then I have my current and past orders. And then the level 2 window over here is linked to my main order ticket, so if I type in a ticker over here, it'll automatically fill it into this and pull up the level 2 data for that. And then I have my account balances and my positions down in here. So when I'm trading, I trade on a single screen layout. I trade on a laptop currently. Eventually I'll upgrade my setup. It's inconvenient, but right now I trade on a laptop. So I have everything pulled up on one window, and so all of my charting goes over on the left side here, and then my Active Trader Pro and my orders and everything else goes on the right side of the screen. So that's sort of why everything is a little bit cramped down together, and it's definitely inconvenient, but it works, and this is what my layout's going to look like day to day. This is exactly what my computer screen looks like just about every day. And then if I ever needed to check a position on my phone or place a last minute trade or adjust a trade, I would be using the Tradingview mobile app, and this is sort of what it's going to look like. It's very cramped. It's not fun to use, but it's definitely usable. I've certainly used it to place trades and edit trades, and it's not something that is like ridiculous to use like some other brokers can be for mobile. And then as far as data collection goes, good lord, that's bright. Really, the only things that I think that you need to collect are going to be your individual transactions. You absolutely need that, and then I believe that you just need to keep track of your balance. And then that's really it. You need to have raw metrics in terms of your performance. I know Fidelity can sort of fuck up your numbers sometimes in terms of market change and like contribution change and stuff like that. So really having the raw numbers for that is really helpful. And then Google Sheets is awesome because it really lets you do whatever you want. So I've really spent some time making my spreadsheet, and I've talked about it a couple times. But I would say that having some benchmarks like your day performance versus indexes and your all-time performance and your daily balance gain loss and really whatever you wanted it can be helpful, but it's definitely not as important as it is to just keep track of your transactions and your balances. You absolutely need to keep track of those, and that's non-negotiable. You have to keep track of those. That's really the end of this video for that. There's not really a ton else in terms of software to go into. Next video is going to be on stock selection, scanning, and watch lists. So it's going to be a very, very in-depth video. But these are really the crucial pieces of software that you need to know. There's a couple other things that you could use, and you really use whatever you want. But these are the things that I think you absolutely must know about and absolutely must use. And that's sort of just how it is. You can't really get around using a broker or something like that. But that is where this video is going to end. I appreciate you watching, and check out the next video. It should be a little bit more in the weeds in terms of everything that's going on trading wise.